Here we have a double wrist lock, and this is yet another move where Edouard Carpentier's defense is basically to flip out of it. So this works really well for theatrical scripted matches. Obviously, like I think the crowd loved it when one of the athletes would do flips. Um, do I think that this has potential? I do, but just that little bit of loading that he had to do to get his flip prepared is driving a lot of force in exactly the direction that Thesz needs to create a break. So any flip would be like a theatrical flip like this would be way too much. I think real players would get hurt in the process. And probably the only reason that Edouard Carpentier isn't getting his shoulder broken here is because Thesz is deliberately trying not to break his shoulder because it's a scripted match. But what would be more feasible, if anything, would be just a forward roll. And I've also forward rolled out of shoulder locks before. It's definitely like a viable potential escape when you do it right. And even there's some risk that you can break your shoulder if you don't get your timing right. There's just a lot of variables. But do I think it's possible to do a standing version of this? I do, just not with that huge load that Edouard Carpentier did. And I think there's going to be some potential of breaking your own shoulder by trying it, especially if you have an opponent or a training partner who doesn't give a shit about your safety. Um, if they don't care about your safety, they're just going to crank your shoulder and hurt you. And shoulder injuries are the worst. They're like neck and neck with knee injuries and spinal injuries. Those are all like the three that you really don't want to get in this sport of grappling, whatever particular grappling sport you're doing. If your shoulder gets injured, it's never quite the same shoulder again, even with lots of rehab and surgery and all that stuff. So escapes like this are risky. You got to like know your own risk when you do this kind of stuff. But yes, I do think some sort of flip, even if it's just in the form of a forward roll, can represent one viable escape from a shoulder lock like this, just not this theatrical of one, and certainly not where there's that aggressive of a load in the exact direction that it would require to break the shoulder first.